Legionnaires, guess who finished the Spider-Man game? This guy. Guess who has a review about the Spider-Man game? This guy. Let's talk about it. We are probably entering the end stages of the PS4, and usually by the end of the run of a console, the developers have figured out the tech and all its nuances, the result of which is that the graphics of the games on the system look a lot better than the early titles. Marvel's Spider-Man is no exception. The game is simply stunning to look at. The model of New York City feels alive and vibrant, the light sourcing that simulates the different times of day is incredible, and most of the character models are nicely detailed. Plus, the architecture of the buildings is well done. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the one effect that really grabbed my attention. Once while taking out a Kingpin base, it started to rain. The reflections of the water accumulating on the ground, as well as the look of Spider-Man's suit while wet, was really impressive. Now, a couple of weeks ago, there was a bit of silliness on the internet about this game before it released. Apparently, some folks were accusing Insomniac of scaling down the graphics. A few online publications and vloggers picked up on this and even reported it on their platforms. Insomniac publicly denied this on Twitter several times. But to be honest with you, Legion, I just don't see how this is scaled down graphically. It looks amazing. And just my 2 cents worth, I know everyone loves a conspiracy theory. It's real easy to be jaded with these video game companies, but it would be a good idea to just wait until the game releases before you toss around these accusations, if for no other reason than to protect your platform's credibility. Because now that the game is out and it's being received well, you guys look like you jumped the gun. However, no game is perfect, so I do have to mention that a couple of times during the game, I experienced some issues with collision detection. My head or feet would appear to go through a wall or a floor. Like I said, it only happened a few times and it didn't hamper the gameplay experience much, but it did need to be mentioned. Story. I'm an avid comic reader, and sometimes I find that comic book games don't have the depth of story that many comic book series have, which is understandable, I suppose, considering that a comic book series can run many titles and has the benefit of being able to truly flesh out a character and his narrative. But this game didn't have a problem in that area to me. I enjoyed the story with all its plot twists and even slow moments between the big events. And they managed to find a balance between an entire group of villains. Each one had their place in the story and got, in my opinion, the proper amount of time depending on their importance to the overall narrative. I felt totally invested the entire game and enjoyed playing the game as MJ as much as I did playing as Spider-Man. For once, a supporting character actually felt useful and integral to the story. Even playing as Miles Morales felt like it added to the overall narrative and was a welcome addition. At no point did I feel bored, and each sequence made me want to keep going to see what would happen next. And these days, let me tell you, I rarely sit for hours and play. I just have too much to do. But for this game, it was really hard for me to put the controller down. Combine a reasonably length main story with a bunch of fun side missions, and what you have is a solid title with plenty of playability. Gameplay. What's the one thing that a game developer has to nail in order to have a chance of succeeding with a Spider-Man game? The web slinging. If you don't get this right, you're going to have a bad time, and so will people who play the game. Well, I'm here to report that they absolutely nailed this. I've spent hours just swinging through the city, not doing any missions, simply because it's fun to do. And not just the swinging itself, because there are a bunch of other things that complement the web slinging that make this feel authentically Spider-Man. The wall crawling, sprinting, jumping, and rebounding off of rooftops at breakneck speed simulate how amazing it would be if you had Spider-Man's abilities. About the only critique I had was that at first, his jumping seemed restrained. In the comics, Spider-Man has been shown to be able to jump from a vertical position about 3 stories. At first I was disappointed in this, but guess what happened? During the course of the game, he got that upgrade and all was right with the world. As far as combat, I would like to quote my friend Matt, who commented under my Facebook post about the game. I love how effortlessly badass he is, because this is the only way to describe it. Even early on in the game, there are enough fighting moves to really show off the way of the spider style that Parker uses. Control isn't an issue because all the moves are super responsive and complement Spider-Man's agility while blending in seamlessly with his traversal moves. There are very few gameplay experiences that can compare to swooping down on a group of armed criminals, dodging gunfire and rocket launchers, then completely beating the crap out of them using spider powers and an assortment of gadgets. Gadgets, by the way, that didn't feel superfluous and were actually useful. I had zero feelings of frustrations while trying to combat either rank and file criminals or the big boss battles. So yeah, it's a win. Extras. This game is full of bells and whistles and Easter eggs, but the most significant extras are the suits you can unlock as you go through the game. Each suit adds either a defensive or offensive special ability, and the best thing is that once you unlock the suit, whatever ability that came with it can be used with any of the other suits. So say you like the Iron Spider suit the best, but prefer the special ability of the Scarlet Spider suit. No need to choose between fashion and utility, you can have both. So with all of the bells and whistles and extras that the game does offer, this is probably my favorite. Conclusion. In my opinion, this is the best superhero game ever made. And yes, I'm including the Batman Arkham series as well. It's been a long time since I enjoyed a game on nearly every level, and with Insomniac hinting at dropping some DLC in the form of a new story this October, I'm going to be keeping this game in my PS4 for quite a while. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on it, but I want to hear from you. Have you played the game yet? Have you beat the game yet? There's DLC coming out in October. Are you excited about it if you have beaten the game? What's your thoughts on the story? Just give me your feedback in the comment section below. Be happy to hear from you. But anyway, that's all from me today, Legion. If you enjoyed this video and would like to be a part of the Legion, just like, share, and subscribe to the Reaper Legion Network and help our growing community become a larger community. And as always, please, geek responsibly.